Okay, guys, the next pillar of OOP that we're going to talk about is called encapsulation. What does that mean? In short, it means protection of the private properties or methods from user manipulation. And in OOP, that means that an object stores its state privately, and only the object's methods have access to it. So if you've done React and you've used useState and setState, that's actually an example of encapsulation. Now, how does this look in regular JavaScript? Let's take a look. Okay, guys, we're going to take a look at a very simple example that shows how encapsulation works in JavaScript. All right, so I have two global variables, bank money and wallet money, and a function that returns the sum of these two variables. Sounds simple enough? Okay, what happens if we call it? We get the correct answer. Now, in real life, right, the end user can be a bad person and they might do something like this. What if they do bank money equals 1? And then, so when you call total money, we get a different but unwanted result. So how do we protect from this? How do we protect our data so that it can only be read but not modified? Okay. So in OOP, it's a little bit different, but I will show you how that works just in plain old functions and JavaScript. Okay. All right. So one thing we can do is that we can move these variables from the global scope inside of the function scope. All right. Now, when we call it, it still works. But if we try to set bank money equals to 1, it looks like it works. But when you call the total money, we still get the correct answer. So what is going on? Okay, this has something to do with closures. And I know that's a very, very big and deep topic, but all you have to know about closure is this. Let's move these back outside on the global scope. All right, so closure says if something is inside a scope, or AKA curly brackets, in this case, it's inside a function scope. Okay. Whatever is inside the function scope can access the outside or the global scope. Okay. So that's why in our return statement, we get access to bank money because it's outside, right? And also wallet money. But once we moved it back, this statement also gets access because it is now inside. Okay. So whatever is inside of the functional scope has access to whatever is inside as well and whatever is outside. But if you are on the outside, you cannot access what is on the inside. Now, the fact that when we set bank money to 1 and it does not give us an error is because when we type that, what JavaScript does is it declares a global variable bank money equals 1. But when we run this function, when it looks for bank money, it will look the inside first. It will look at what's inside of its functional scope. And if it doesn't find it, then it will go to the outside one, right? Kind of like inheritance that we talked about. Okay. So now, just to prove that to you, if we define this function and we console.log bank money, let's see what we get. We get an uncaught reference error. Bank money is not defined. That's because it's defined inside of the function scope and not the global scope. And our console.log is in the global scope. So it does not have access to whatever is inside. Okay? And that's how encapsulation works. It makes like a box that protects all of your variables. Okay? And only you or the method or people that you want can access it or change it depending on your desire, right? So again, if we move this back in here and we run it, let's see what we get. We get 3,000 and also the return statement, okay? Now, as we move on deeper and deeper into the course, I will show you how to define and create objects with private properties and also private fields, private methods, static methods, all of that. Okay? But right now, this should be a good enough introduction to understand how encapsulation works at its most basic level. All right, I'll see you guys in the next one.